Scripture reading is John 3:16. Of course, we know that one by heart, but I am going to actually read it from my Holman Bible. For God loved the world in this way. He gave His one and only Son, so that everyone who believes in Him will not perish, but have eternal life. May the Lord have blessings for reading of His Word.
Good morning again. Happy Sabbath. I entitled my sermon this morning, As Far in the Sky. It contributes to anybody knows what this coming Tuesday celebrates, or, 9/11. Okay? So everybody knows what happened 9/11. Thursday, September the 11th, 2001, the morning, this morning was dramatically changed our nation. Terror spread its ugly tentacles in our homes and in our hearts in a new and horrified way. For nearly all of us, that day began as any other Tuesday. Then precisely at 8:48 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, a hijacked American airliner jet loaded with passengers streaked across the New York skyline and slammed into one of the twin towers of the World Trade Center. As an angry smoke of fireball bellowed from the stricken 1,368-foot skyscraper. And about 18 minutes later, at 9:06, another hijacked jet slammed into the second tower. And while we were still reeling from the shock, yet another plane drove into the Pentagon, while a fourth commercial flight crashed in the remote area of Shanksville, Pennsylvania. They believed that plane was headed for the White House. So that's where the famous word comes in, let's roll. There was a lady talking to her husband, I guess in the bathroom on the phone, and he was telling her about the other three crashes, and the passengers figured that that's where that plane is going, so they all rushed into the cabin and got the pilot out of there. That's how it comes to crash. But anyway, they built a memorial in that area. Okay, the World Trade Center towers burst into flames, and then the utter horror of flames engulfed in the Pentagon. In storm disbelief, we witnessed sights that none of us will ever forget. Image was indelible and forever scarred in our memories. And if this wasn't enough, 2 months and 1 day earlier, another plane went down in a populated area in New York, where 40 people lived that worked in the World Trade Center lost their lives. Thank God this plane was not the work of a terrorist. 265 people lost their life in that crash. Suddenly, huge questions emerge in our minds. What are we to make of this tragedy? Where was God in all this? How do we interpret it, or possibly make sense of it, or explain it to our children? Is there any way to ease the pain and the shock and the anger of it all? Here is an answer to that question. The Bible presents an incredible, encouraging picture of God. This view of God gives us courage in overwhelming crisis. It gives us hope at the time of despair. And it gives us peace in the time of distress. It gives us comfort in the time of sorrow. God was not seen in the savage, ruthless acts of those terrors. Here is why we can know that. John 2, 9 and 10. He said, he who is in the light and hates his brother, he is in the darkness. He who loves his brother and abides in the light, there is no cause for him to stumble. A little later on, the Apostle John wrote, he who does not love does not know God, for God is love. That's John 4:8. That's the bottom line. If you don't love, you don't know God. The world we live in is a battleground between the intense hate and the incredible love. It is a world where good and evil are locked in a mortal combat. But an all-wise God does not always step in to prevent the deeds of evil. He does not, at least not yet, stop the hate-filled people from carrying out their horrible acts. God values freedom. He allows men and women to make choices, even if those choices are terribly wrong and evil. The only option would be then to remove the choice of freedom altogether. That would become, then they would become mere human machines or robots. Lucifer, he had a choice also. But he always is there in the midst of human suffering. He is there comforting those who mourn. He is there suffering with those who suffer. He is there weeping with those who weep. He is there sustaining, supporting. He is there encouraging the heartbroken and embrace the bruised. The well-known 23rd Psalm declares, yea, though I walk through the valley of death, the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. And the 46th Psalm adds those hopeful words. God is our refuge and our strength in the very present of time of need. In the midst of our personal pain and grief, God is there. Beyond the tears, the heartaches, and the sorrows of it all, if we pause, we can hear Him say, I love you. I will heal your broken heart and bind up your wounds. Where was God when terror rained down from the sky that fatal September morning? Where can we see God? We can see Him in the selfish people who patiently help injured co-workers down 80 flights of stairs. Even as the World Trade Tower was ablaze, moment from collapsing, you could see Him in the scores of firefighters and police officers who unhastingly rushed into harm's way at the scene and then were buried when the buildings collapsed. There were, the last report I heard was 340-some policemen and firemen killed in that incident. You could see him and people rushing to give blood or make donations or volunteer their time. Every time we saw unselfish love, God was there. And I will remind you that the greatest act of unselfish love the universe has ever witnessed. Still, God speaks to us from a blood-stained cross on the rugged hill of Calvary.
Amen.
Satan, the hijacker of this earth, focused his spiteful wrath on God's Son. An innocent man died on the cross that day. He did not deserve to die, but his death reveals the only answer to the world's hate. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth him should not perish but have everlasting life. Of course, that's John 3:16. Now, reading from the Testimonies of the Church, Volume 9. We are living in a time of the end. Fast, fulfilling signs declare that the coming of Christ is near at hand. The days in which are solemn and important. The Spirit of God is gradually but surely withdrawing from the earth. Plagues and judgment are already falling upon the despiser of the grace of God. The calamities by land and sea, the unsettled state of society, the alarm of war are portentous. They forecast the approaching event of the greatest multitude. The agencies of evil are combining forces and consolidating. They are strengthening for the great last crisis. Great changes are soon to take place in our world, and the final moments will be rapid ones. Justice stands for all, for the truth has fallen in the street, and equality cannot enter. Isaiah 59:14. In the great cities there are a multitude living in poverty and wretchedness, and need of food, shelter, clothing. While in the same cities there are those who have more than their hearts could wish for, who live luxuriously, spending their money on richly furnished homes, on personal adornment, and worse still, upon gratifying or sexual appetites, and upon liquor, tobacco, and other things that destroy their brains, unbalance the mind, and degrade the soul. The crisis of the starving humanity are coming up before God, while by the very species of oppression and extortion, men are piling up enormous fortunes. On one occasion, this is Ellen White. On one occasion, when in New York, I was at night, in the night scene, called upon to behold building, raising, story after story keep in mind, this was written in 1909, okay? Those buildings were wanted to be fireproof, and they were erected to glorify their owners and the building. Higher and still higher those buildings rose. And in them, the most costly materials used. Those buildings belonged to those to whom the buildings belonged were not asking themselves, how best can we glorify God? The Lord was not in their thoughts. And I thought, oh, that those who are investing their means could see the course as God sees it. They were piling up magnificent buildings, but how foolish in the sight of the ruler of the universe is their planning and devising. They are not studying with all their powers and hearts and minds how they may glorify God. They have lost sight of this, the first duty of man. As those lofty buildings went up, the owners rejoiced with ambition and pride that they had money to use in gratifying self and provoking the envy of their neighbors. Much of the money that they had invested had been obtained through exhaustion and through grinding down the poor. They forget that in heaven an account of every business transaction are kept. Every unjust deal, every fraudulent act is recorded. The time is coming when their fraud and their men will reach the point that the Lord will not permit to pass. And they will learn that there is a limit to their forbearance of Jehovah. The scene, now listen to this, the scene that passed before me was the alarm of fire. Men looked at those lofty buildings, supposedly fireproof buildings, and said, they are perfectly safe. But those buildings were consumed as they were made of pitch. The fire engine could do nothing to stay the destruction. The firemen were unable to operate the engine. And now this was written in 1909. I am instructed that the Lord's time come, or that when the Lord's time comes, should no change have taken place in the hearts of the proud, ambitious human beings, man will find that the hand that had been strong to save them will be strong to destroy. No earthly power can stay the hand of God. No materials can be used in erection of buildings that will be preserved from destruction when God's appointed time sends punishment on men and their disregard of the law and for their selfish ambition. There are not many, even among educators and statesmen, who comprehend the cause that underlies the present state of society. Those who hold the reins of government are not able to solve the problem of moral corruption, poverty, and increasing crime. They are struggling in vain to place business opportunities on a more secure basis. If man would give more heed to the teachings of God's Word, they would find a solution to the problem that perplexed them. The Scripture describes the condition of the world just before Christ's second coming. Of the men who by robbery and extortion and accumulating great riches. It is written, you have heaped up treasures together for the last days. Behold, the hired hand, or the hire of labor, who have reaped down your fields, which you have kept back. Ye have lived in pleasure on the earth. You have nourished your heart. You have condemned and killed the just. Not all in this world have taken sides with the enemy of God. Not all have become disloyal. There are a faithful few who are true to God. For John writes, here are they that keep the commandments of God and have the faith of Jesus. Soon the battle will be raged fiercely between those who serve God and those who serve Him not. Soon everything that will be shaken will be shaken, but those things that cannot be shaken will remain. Satan is a diligent Bible student. He knows his time is short, and he seeks at every point to counterwork the work of the Lord upon this earth. The worshippers of God will be especially I can't get that out. But anyway, their regard for the fourth commandment, since this is a sign of God's creative power, the witness to His claim upon the reverend and homage. Designated was what I was looking for. The wicked will be designated by a distinguished. I'll get it right here in a minute. Up here, as I read before, couldn't get that word out. Distinguished. And we'll start over with this. The worship of God will be especially distinguished by the regard of the first commandment. Since this is a sign of God's creative power and witness to His claim, men upon men, reverence and homage. The wicked will be distinguished by the efforts to tear down God's creative memorial and exalt the institution of Rome. In this issue of conflict, all Christendom will be divided into two great. Church and state will unite their powers to compel all, both great and small, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive the mark of the beast. Yet the people of God will not receive it, and that's Revelation